Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janet. For those of you that are new, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here. Do well to remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because when I have new videos, you'll be notified as well. And usually my videos, I like to talk about so many things. I have a variety of topics that I go through, so watch out for my videos. So today I'm going to be talking about something that may concern you if you're coming to Canada, and it's about accommodation. How do you choose where to stay? I'll start with myself. For example, when we landed in Canada, we were fortunate enough to know somebody in Canada that helped us to look for an apartment. It was a condo apartment. It was very nice and cozy, and we're so grateful for that. So when we landed in Canada, in 2 days we were already signing a lease agreement and we're moving to our condo. Unfortunately, that didn't work for us, so we had to break our lease. And usually if you want to break your lease, it means that you might have some penalties. You might have to lose your damage deposit, or you might have to look for somebody to take over your lease. Unfortunately, we didn't get somebody to take over, so we had to lose our damage deposit. But you know what? It was worth it because it was causing so much stress for us, and it was not just working. So we had to break our lease. Because of my experience, I really want to make sure you know how to choose your apartment right and you do not make the same mistake that we made. It is not a bad idea for someone to help you look for an apartment before you come in. It's not a bad idea. If you have that, it's a plus. Some people have been able to get someone to get their apartment and they've been able to stay in that apartment for a long time. But if you're that person that you really want to choose for yourself, come to Canada first, survey the area where you want to get an apartment, and then you can make a decision. There's so many things that goes into choosing an apartment to lease. Usually when you're leasing an apartment, it is for 1 year. Sometimes it could be 6 months, but it's a long time. Imagine if that apartment doesn't suit you, you might find yourself in the same shoe with me and my family, that we had to break that lease because it wasn't working, and you will lose a lot of money. Trust me, 1,000 or more Canadian dollars is not a small amount of money, so you don't want to lose that money. So if you can come to Canada, you could stay in an Airbnb, or if you have relatives, you stay with your relatives first before you decide where your apartment would be or what kind of apartment you would choose. So what are the things you're going to be looking at when you're looking for an apartment? First of all, you have to think about your family size. It might just be you. It might just be that you have 3 or 4 kids. You need to think about that, because if you have older kids, each child must have their separate room, especially if they're of a different gender. So they must have different rooms. So if you're a family of 5 and you have older kids, it means that you have to get an apartment at least that has 3 bedrooms. You cannot squeeze everybody in just 2 bedrooms. And that means that you need to spend more on accommodation. So think about your family size and think about the type of apartment you want. Now, there are different types of apartments that you can get. One is you can get a condo like we did when we started. It's beautiful. We chose the ground level. Our friend helped us to choose that. And that strategy was because our kids are jumpy. Kids are kids. They want to jump around. And if you are in an upper unit, you might be disturbing those that are below. By the way, the houses in Canada are made out of wood, so sound travels. So if your kids are noisy and you are in a condo, you might run into trouble. I've heard people had problems with their neighbors calling the police on them. That happens. Yes, it does happen in Canada. Condo is very quiet, very nice, and if you want something cozy, yes, condo is a good place for you. But you have to deal with the fact that if you do have kids, you have to take care of your kids and make sure they're not too noisy. And there's a lot of rules with the condo. You might need to pay moving in fees. There are some rules and regulations, parking fees, underground parking fees. So you need to really check that. So that one is nice and could be your option. So if you want something nice and cozy, but again, think about the location. Think about how far would you have to travel to go to grocery. You are coming to Canada, you might not have a car right away. You need to be able to have access to the bus stop or the train station. How close? How many hours you have to travel to get into downtown if you need to do anything in downtown, or if you prefer, you could get an apartment in downtown. By the way, for us, when we broke that lease, we had to move downtown, which is more central. So downtown of a city is usually the central area. So we went downtown, which is more central, and we said, you know what, if it's downtown, it's easier for us to navigate our way wherever we find our work to be, it's going to be easier. So we moved downtown, and it was a good experience. It was a good decision that we did that. It was less travel time, and we had most of the things accessible, and they were quite within reach. So it's up to you what you want. A lot of people don't like downtown. The reason being that it's usually a high crime area. Fortunately for us, we never experienced any of that. So even in the downtown, you can find areas that are quite safe. So it's a good idea to go look for yourself. Ask people around about the area. Ask the property manager about the area. Just have an idea for yourself to make that informed decision. So a condo might be a good option for you if you want. Another option, which is usually cheaper than the condo, is an apartment building. It could be a 4-plex, it could be a 16-plex. It's up to you what you want, and you could choose that. Now, it's not as strict as a condo, and also you would have neighbors. So again, if you are taking an upper unit, there might be noise traveling down to your neighbors or to the side. So you have to be careful. If you do have kids, you could also have people call the police. The advantage here is that it is cheaper than the condo. It's not as beautiful. It doesn't have as many rules as the condo, but it's an option for you. And you could have 3-bedroom apartments in that building, or 2 bedrooms. So check and see. And also, same thing like the condo, check for the location, check if it's accessible to bus routes and all of that. And then you can also have another cheaper option, which is a basement. So somebody may have a house and has developed their basement, and they are willing to rent it out for a fee. So that one is way cheaper than having an apartment or a condo. Why? Because that person might just be needing an extra income. So they're just looking for some money to top up their mortgage or something like that. So they can afford to rent it out for cheap. But the problem with that is that it's usually below ground level, and it's cold. Even in the summer, the basement is usually colder than the upper level. And of course, you're on the ground floor, so you have people on the upper unit making noise. That's something to deal with. So if you have kids, that might not be a good option. The good thing is that most times your rent would include heating, so the basement will also be heated. I remember when there was a heat wave where I was, and we had to stay in the basement. I didn't like the experience. Why? Because I felt as if I was trapped in an enclosed space. I'm used to having windows. Usually in the basement, you might have just 1 or 2 small windows. It wasn't just a good experience, and I knew I couldn't stay there long term. So it's really up to you. Come and see for yourself and take that decision. Or you might just be seeing a listing of a basement. It's cheap. But when you come in here, you might not like it. But if you're able to come, have a feel of what it looks like, then you can make that decision, whether it's for you or not. So if you don't like any of those options and you just want your own space where you don't have any disturbance, maybe because your kids are older, they will need their own rooms, or maybe your kids are jumpy, they need their space to do their thing, an option is to get a townhouse. Unfortunately, this is the most expensive option, and if you are going for a townhouse, you have to think about that you need to pay the utilities. The listing price of a townhouse doesn't include utilities most times. So if the townhouse is going for $1,600, then you should also factor in another 300 or 400 depending on the location and depending on the season for utilities. So it can be a little bit pricey, but if you can afford it, why not? Go ahead and get it. And then that would be a good one. And also you have to think about taking care of the surroundings. So you're responsible for that. Usually in the apartment condos or even the basements, you might not need to worry about taking care of the environment. So meaning that you need to cut the grass, you need to shovel the snow. All of that is your responsibility if you're going to be having a townhouse. So if that's what you want, that's an option for you. So remember, in all of your decision, you have to think about the location. Location is super important. Go around and see what it looks like. Who are the tenants there? What are their nationalities? What is the history around that area? Are there schools close by, or do you have to travel far away for those that have kids? These are the things that you have to think about. Now, importantly, when you're meeting with the leasing agent or the property manager to sign your lease, there are very important things that you need to take note of. Think about what is included in the rent. So usually when you're leasing an apartment, you are giving that apartment at a state. The condition of that apartment is usually factored in, and you do a walkthrough to check that there are no damages. You confirm that there are no damages. When you're returning that apartment after your lease or when you're leaving, then there's going to be a walkout procedure as well to make sure that you've not damaged anything. If you have damaged anything, your damage deposit is going to be affected, or you would need to replace that. So you might need to line the drawers, take extra precaution to make sure the apartment is in good condition so that you're not penalized when you are leaving. Some people don't mind. They say, well, it's just a damage deposit, it goes. If you're that person, that's fine. But if you want to get back your damage deposit, make sure that you keep that apartment clean and nice. Now, there are particular questions that you should ask. You can negotiate things with your property manager or your leasing agent. When you're meeting with them, what are the things that you need to negotiate? You know what? I'm going to invite somebody to my channel very soon who has the experience, who has worked in this field, and that person can give you tips on how to ask the right questions, what are the things to look out for so that you don't find yourself in trouble, so that you get a good deal. So in my next video, I will be inviting a property manager that will walk us through the leasing process so you can have first-hand knowledge of what to expect and what are the questions that you can ask the property manager, what are the things that you can ask for a deal, what can you negotiate, and all of that. We want to hear from those that have the experience. So I'll get somebody here to give you that so that you make that right decision. I hope you enjoyed my discussion today. If you did, leave in the comments what are the things that you want me to talk about, and what are the things that you think I missed out that you want to know about. Ask me in the comments below, and I'm willing to answer you whatever questions you might have. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that when I have new videos like this, you will be notified. See you in my next video. Don't miss it. Bye-bye.